All right, well, great. As you guys all know, we like to share at TOBI Networks some innovative products in market and great stories around them, and things that can, definitely support your practices in, regenerative medicine, sports medicine, biologics, and treating injuries. And so, um, today we have the pleasure of being joined by Trey. Trey is the founder of Achilles. We met, I think, maybe 2, 3 years ago, at least, and Trey was just starting his journey. And I thought it's really fascinating his approach to, ankle and foot rehabilitation and lower leg strengthening, to one, rehab and also injury prevention. So I'm going to let Trey introduce himself, and then we'll kind of go through his product, which is super cool. I had a chance to try it at one of the conferences with a few physicians, and we really enjoyed it. And, I think it's something that's always great to see a founder's story when he's trying to impact physical longevity of humans, which is what we are in the business of, also in the field of biologics. So, Trey, just tell us where you're from, a little bit, and I'd love also for you to share kind of. You shared with me, and this is it's always nice to hear, like, where did this come from? Like, just like, your little background that you've shared with me in the past, and like kind of how this product developed.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, thank you for having me on this. Pleasure. Um, but yeah, my name is Trey. I am 26 years old. I'm an entrepreneur out of McAllen, Texas, a very small town out here in Texas, super south near the borderline, and South Padre. Graduated from the University of Mary Hardin Baylor with my business degree. I played college football there. I ended up winning two national titles and losing one. However, throughout my years of playing football, I kind of was that athlete that was prone to injury. And it all started back in high school when I suffered a very severe injury. I tore some ligaments in my foot. I was an all-state quarterback, so uh, the thing about me is I wanted to play in college. I wanted to get a full ride. At that point in my life, I wasn't financially stable to be able to pay for college, so I saw it as a way out. And after that injury happened my sophomore year, it kind of put things on a hold. I recovered from that injury. Coming back my junior year, I had another serious injury. It was a high ankle sprain, almost fractured my entire foot and ankle on the same foot, And so the injuries just kept happening, even if there were little tweaks. My ankle wasn't very strong, my foot wasn't very strong. And, I did all the necessary protocols. My dad would pay for the high-end massages, for the best therapist down south. Kind of just went through everything I could have, and still had that lingering injury, still had that lingering pain. And it was just very frustrating for me at the moment. Like I said, my scholarships were falling off. I went from maybe like 15 Division 1 to my end of my junior year only to like two. And the problem was I wasn't playing. So uh, at a very young age, I picked up the habit of meditating and reading. So out of frustration with everything that was going on with me, I was meditating one day, and I was about maybe 17 years old, and it was kind of like a picture of the concept that you will see in the device Achilles. It kind of just flashed into my head, and I'm the type of guy who's very spiritual, that I will listen to my intuitions and any messages that are sent out to me. And the next day, after I pictured that idea, I told my father I have an idea that I think might help me with my injuries. So the next day, we ended up going to the local Home Depot, grabbed some pieces of wood, I grabbed some TheraBands, and kind of just made something. And that's where it all started. And as we made it, I used the device, and it worked for me. And I ended up going on to play college football, and I took it with me. And so as the years progressed, we just innovated the device. Again, this wasn't for business purposes. It was only for me, to get better on my ankles. At that time, I wasn't even focused on business. I was just focused on getting a scholarship and going to school to get a degree. And it's funny how things happen. I was actually late to a football meeting, and I took the little device with me, and I was sitting in the meeting room listening to my coach, and all my friends were looking at me like super confused, like, what is that machine that you have there? And I was actually lucky that my athletic trainer walked in this meeting. He happened to just see it and question it and asked me where I bought it. And then ended up telling him I made it. He didn't believe me. I ended up making him one because he wanted one so badly. But when he asked me, "Can you make one for me?" It kind of just lit up a light bulb in my head, saying, "Wow, he wants a product that I created." Which, again, at the time, wasn't thinking business. I was very puzzled, but also kind of motivated. Like, well, if he wants one, then I think everybody else would want one. So this happened my junior year. He ended up using the little PVC plastic version. I think it was version number 5, throughout my entire senior year of football. And it was awesome to see my friends and other athletes use the device in the athletic training room. Whenever I would go get my treatments on my feet and ankles, and I would use it myself. Um, Again, still not thinking about business. Not until the day I graduated, my athletic trainer went up to me and he shook my hand. He's like, "Congratulations for graduating. But if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, forget about everything that you plan on doing and go turn this into an actual product. Go innovate it, turn it into a company. It works. It helped athletes recover faster. It's functional. It's very simple, very effective. It does what it needs to do." And then right after that point, I had gotten a full-time job a few months later, and I had it in the back of my head, man, I should really listen to him. But it's a risk, as we all know. Opening up a new company is a risk. But I had full faith in my heart that this product could help people if it helped me, and my athletic trainer at the university as it helped other people. So shortly after college, all of that dream ambition got delayed. Ended up um, getting sick. I had stage 2 testicular cancer. So the year 2020, I battled the sickness of cancer for the entire year. Also dealing with COVID too. So it was a whole experience in itself. But I'm a big believer in God and the universe, and I'm very spiritual. And throughout that whole journey of battling cancer, I met a family friend who introduced me to somebody who was there to lift up my spirits. And while he was talking to me, I was kind of just staring at him. And in my gut, it like popped up in my head to ask him what he did for a living. So as he was talking, I was totally ignoring him. It sounds bad, but I was just staring at him, and then cut him off and said, "Hey, man," his name is Eric. I said, "Hey, Eric, what do you do for a living?" He's like, "Well, I own a manufacturing company out of Mexico. I'm a robotics engineer. I make things out of metal." And so I said, "Hey, man, I have an idea. Maybe you can help me with." And this is when I was going through my sickness and stuff. So at the time, he probably felt bad for me and said, "Man, I'll do it for you." Not thinking it would be where it's at now, but he took the risk on me. And after I became cancer free, you know, 3 months after that, we went through maybe 7 different prototypes on different designs on the Achilles, and finally we got the one that we wanted, and that's what you guys will see now on the website or on Instagram or wherever you see it. Um, and took a risk, quit my job, had no money. I said, "Man, I have full faith in this company," and I invested my only $50 on an Instagram ad. I only had about 5 followers, and I was very, very, very lucky that within a month, I had a very high-end athlete reach out to me, who wanted to see the product in person. And I ended up flying out to Portland, showing him the product. His name's Damian Leonard. His trainer freaking loved it, started posting it for me, and after that experience, it kind of grew within the network of the trainer. And he happened to be followed by a lot of trainers and a lot of doctors and professional athletes. So that's how it all started. A little burst from my friend Jem, who happens to be Damian Leonard's trainer. And it's been 2 years, and Achilles has done great things, and I'm excited to tell you guys more about it.
Yeah, I just think it's thanks for sharing that and being so open with it. I mean, the journey, I always say, is some of the most powerful things, and actually the driving forces behind success. And yours is always just kind of touched me in a way. I was like, wow, like, And I think I remember one point we were talking where you were working your other job and you were thinking about it. And you and I discussed like what it meant and what it was going to be and where you put your belief in. So it's great to see kind of that you left full time, you've got this break. So tell us like I think what is it that Achilles does that is different than traditional rehab protocols for the foot and ankle? And I think this is important to design it. And I know we shared the YouTube on the design and the bands, but just kind of walk us through sort of the device and why it has impact.
Yeah, so Achilles is a device that specializes in exercising or rehabbing all of the muscles in the lower leg extremity. So when dealing with knee injuries, sometimes hip injuries as well, anything from the knee below, from feet to ankle to calf, um, it helps strengthens all those muscles. So it's very simple. It's very simple and very effective. The device has interchangeable bands with all different unlimited angles where you can have the foot placed in. You can do every flexion of your foot with resistance. You can add resistance, you can lower resistance, you can perform isometrics, eccentric exercises, concentric exercises, pretty much all of the above, because the device allows the resistance to be everywhere on the foot. So what makes it so different is, one, I'm not really sure if there's anything out there right now that has the same functionality. And what I mean by functionality is having the foot to be free of motion. So then it becomes very precise, where it's like a hand motion where you can do little motions forward, back, and now you have resistance. Opposed to using a third band, it's kind of just one directional. The therapist have to hold it, the patient has to hold it. It becomes, one, it's manual labor. Two, not enough stimulation for the patient to be actually engaged in what they're doing, opposed to having the patient put their foot in the machine and having the doctor oversee the motions. So in a way, it's kind of more stimulating for the patient. We actually have a foot plate that has a laser attachment on the bottom. So, that's another way to keep the patients involved in what they're doing and engaged, by hitting targets on the wall with each flexion of the foot. It gives the therapists themselves more time to do other things if they needed to, or be more observant instead of holding the band and making sure the band doesn't slip, doesn't pop. They have their foot in there, they're observing from overview, and they could be writing down data, whatever they see, testing the ankle mobility, testing the ankle strength. There is different levels of resistance, starting from red that progresses all the way to gray. So there is a chance to keep the process kind of recorded. In patient A came in with a severe ankle sprain. We had him on the gold bands. After a week, the gold bands became too easy, so we moved them to the red bands. And then as he progressed through the red, now he's on green. Now he's jumping and walking faster. Now we go on to black. And after black, the patient should be fully recovered, as he's got all his range of motion and strength back. And those are things that you can just measure visually uh, in that aspect.
So walk me through what are like the most common injuries that you have seen or recommended Achilles for?
Most common injuries is by far the ankle sprains. What's becoming more common though are the Achilles ruptures. So I don't have this recorded on paper, but I can tell you that I've had 5 professional athletes suffer an Achilles rupture, reached out to me to rehab them. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm always like, hey, I'm a personal trainer, not a doctor. However, if you want to use Achilles, ask your doctor for permission first, and then maybe I can come and treat you after rehab or during rehab when you're able to. These 5 athletes, doctors, all said yes to the Achilles device as part of the rehab process outside of rehab. One doctor actually bought it for the rehab. Um, and it was recorded that all 5 athletes recovered 2 months in advance. So it helped them heal faster. And what the key was is that, with Achilles ruptures, ankle surgeries, you want to keep them in a boot. And because of the protocols, you keep them in a boot for a month or two, because weight bearing or pressure is not really that, you can't really add that because it'll harm the injury. However, even with just little resistance and motions that you can apply on Achilles, you're keeping the muscles engaged. So you're not losing a lot of muscle through natural atrophy. You're keeping everything engaged. So you're maintaining the muscle while you're still hurt, instead of just losing the muscle totally, because you're stuck in a boot. So I always like to say motion is is kind of like lotion. You always want to keep it activated. You always want to keep it moving, and not so much that it's just eating itself alive due to natural atrophy. I think the biggest part when I'm dealing with athletes is, hey, the rest period is important. The rest period is important right after surgery or a severe injury. But after that rest period is over, like, you need to get active. Even if it's just little ranges of motions, you need to get active. You got to engage the muscles. You got to wake them up. You don't want to keep them asleep for so long, because when you get back to activity, well, you have one leg stronger than the other, and then that'll just cause multiple injuries in the future. So, um, to answer your question, yeah, I think it's ankle injuries, but the more common is Achilles ruptures. That's becoming a lot more common now.
Got it. And that makes sense. And so, and how about, are there any other common um, foot injuries that you're seeing people use it for? Is it typically ankle sprains and Achilles? And also talk maybe about how it's being incorporated into prevention.
Well, prevention, to answer the first question, calf injuries, shin splints, any type of tibialis or tib bone injuries, pretty much anything from the knee to the feet, any type of foot injuries as well. The product allows you to supinate and pronate, allows you to squeeze the foot while doing the resistance for the ankle. So it kind of does like everything together. In the injury aspect, well, it's very simple. The more flexibility you have in your ankles, the more strength you have in your ankles, the more you're able to withstand force. The more you're able to jump higher, run faster, all the agility performance is boosted. But flexibility is a real thing. It's called elasticity in the tendons. The more flexible your little rubber bands are, the more less you have a risk of injury. Opposed to somebody who doesn't have a lot of range of motion in their ankle, if they roll it, invert it, it's gonna the brain's gonna send an alert. It's gonna be a really bad ankle sprain. Opposed to somebody who does have that flexibility in the ankle and strength, if they tweak it, they just get up and walk off. So that's like kind of the injury prevention side of things. The lower leg extremity, to me, I feel like is a missing gap in the industry. A lot of people, they neglect it. One, because I don't know if there's enough awareness out there, but two, because of the lack of equipment. I know today they have the tib bar raises, things of that nature, but ultimately, if you strengthen all these muscles from the feet to the knee, it supports the knee. Supports the knee from going in and out, when you make wrong steps or too much force is absorbed in the foot. So I think it's a huge part of injury prevention. I have a lot of athletes who just buy it because they're not hurt, but they don't want to get hurt. I have professional organizations in the NBA who use it to protect their athletes. So um, it's being used for both rehab and exercise and injury prevention.
And so, like, walk me through, like, I know the bands is different strengthening, so you kind of feel like it gets easy. What is, like, let's go through two types of, like, so you're rehabbing an injury. What's the frequency that you recommend of use, right? Typically, when you train with people, like, is it daily? Is it 2 to 3 times a week? Like, I know you mentioned that you need some time to recover or rest and in between, like, so describe that for me.
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to exercise, it's almost like exercising any other part of your muscle. Sorry, your body. So if for example, if you go to the gym and do chest day, you're gonna get sore. The next day, you're not gonna be able to do chest. You gotta let the muscles recover. So it's kind of the same thing when it comes to exercise. You're exercising all of the muscles in the lower leg extremity. After that, you want to rest a couple of days and then hit it again. So, weekly for an exercise, we're talking about maybe 3 times a week. For rehab, it is kind of just all over the place depending on the injuries. So, I don't like to have protocols myself because every doctor is different, every therapist is different, every patient is different. So depending on the injury, depending on how severe the injury was, depending how fast they recover, and depending how strong they are at the point of injury, will determine how many times they use it for a week, or what resistance bands they do use. So I leave that totally up to the doctors because one, they're dealing with the patients themselves. So if they have an ankle injury that comes in, but it's like not severe, well, keep them on the green because it's not too severe. Or you have a patient that just really totally messed up their ankle, well, you want to move them to gold. So depending on the type of injury and their strength levels, it all kind of just kind of goes hand in hand with the therapist and the patient, depending on what they basically they create their own protocols.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And so just describe like the device with when you purchase an Achilles, what does it come with? How do doctors familiarize themselves with the products or learn how to use it? Do you got what comes with it?
Yeah, so right now we have an Achilles Elite package. So basically, it's the entire unit itself. It comes with a shoe plate. They have the ability to pick the size, small, medium, or large, and it comes with red and green bands. And I think we're about to add gold. So anybody from Toby who uses this code Toby 2023 will get the gold bands included into the package for free. Um, and what comes with it is a basic workout program, obviously an instructional sheet on how to put it together, some QR codes where they can go online and see videos of me putting the different band setups, and a bunch of workouts that they can follow. And on the YouTube channel, you'll see a wide range of different doctors rehabbing Achilles ruptures, ankle injuries, so that'll give them kind of like an idea on how to use it. So that comes with the entire package itself. And right now we do have a sale for 30% off. It's 5.99, and then if they use the code Toby 2023, they'll get an additional 10% off. So ultimately, that's altogether 40% off, and then with the gold bands for free.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing that for us. I appreciate it. I think for us, what we're thinking about and what comes up a lot for us in the biologic space is how do we rehab post PRP injection? So, what is our rehab protocols? How do we do it? And a lot of times, I think there's different ways to do it, but in looking at Achilles, it's a non-weight bearing exercise, right? Like you're pretty much, if you've seen the device, you're on a foot plate and you're doing sort of an active resistive range of motion. So you're kind of moving it around to active tolerance, right? But there's some resistance there. So you're focused on strengthening. Let's say I'm like someone who wants to really just strengthen the lower leg muscles, right? Like you said, for jumping, for flexibility, I see this as a great tool for young youth athletes. My daughter, I know I'm in the process of getting one with you. My daughter has lax ligaments in her lower legs, and she's a volleyball player, right? So I know that she needs that, to really strengthen her lower leg muscles. And my other daughter's a dancer, so always a risk of ankle injuries. And so if you're really just focused on no injury but strengthening,
Mhm.
right? I think what you were saying was like, hey, like you're getting into like three times a week and you're progressing up the resistive bands. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, correct. And again, the device comes with a workout program that they could follow.
Okay.
And with each band it comes with different workouts. So again, it's kind of just very simple. The lighter the resistance, the more repetitions you want to perform, and you
Yep.
want to focus on full flexions. As you progress in strength, the level of resistance is going to go higher, but the repetitions will become smaller. So opposed to getting on the red bands and doing 25 reps of ankle circles, you'll use the black bands and you'll do 8 ankle circles. Again, focusing still on full range of motion, but again, the tension is more intense. So um, I think, yeah, it'll definitely help with injury prevention, but ultimately building the lower leg extremity.
Awesome. And so how many units have you sold
Mm.
since inception?
Uh, I'd probably say since I first started to now, closing in on 500 units.
Wow, amazing. And what version are you on?
Version, probably say 11.
Wow.
Yeah, and we just kind of changed the logo. So
Yeah.
I don't have the picture of the previous logo, but this is a different helmet, the two lions going over the Achilles, a brand new logo. So we recently just changed that maybe about 2 months ago. So
You seem happy with it.
yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah, it looks more sporty, more intense. The other one was kind of just basic. So definitely happy with that.
Yeah, I just want to say, like, I really appreciate that, just the story of like something came to you, you knew you needed to do something, not really even in healthcare, you're a trainer, of course, but you weren't in healthcare. And, it's always great to meet someone who found a gap and pushed and persevered on a device. And now you're seeing the impact, just kind of the way we have in regenerative medicine. We didn't have a ton of studies in the beginning. We were learning as we went and adapting, and you've kind of found this thing that's driving results, right? And the results speak for themselves. And I think lower leg injuries are always hard to rehab. So I loved coming across the device and what you stand for. So we're excited to kind of share this in your journey with the TOBI community. I'm sure many doctors will find this something that can benefit their patients, especially if they have in-house physical therapy or they want to recommend something post-procedure or post-surgery for their patients to do at home. So
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
again, check out the site anklerepair.com. And, we did share some of your, videos and reach out directly to the team at Ankle Repair if you're interested. And I know you're willing to work with physicians who want to sort of keep this in their office and potentially, tell patients about it. So
Sure.
Trey, appreciate you and super, I'm just glad that a couple of years later we're able to reconnect and I'm able to share the progress that you've made with your business.
No,
So,
yeah, thank you.
and
Pleasure.
and I want you to share, because I think this is really important. I asked you before the call started. I said, I always ask founders because I've been a founder myself before, and it's like, so what's the goal? What's the motivation and goal behind Achilles? And I think if you don't mind sharing that with the community, it's really a
Yeah.
key message.
No, yeah. I mean, the goal is to one, put the people in front of me first. Dealing with my cancer sickness, and it taught me a lot to just live life more carefully, and more awareness, and just really just love everything, and really take the time to soak everything in. And times are hard, times are good, and regardless, I really think everything's just part of the process. And ultimately, I just want to help as many people as I can. I think the point of creating this device is because one, it works, and two, it's to protect people, um, to protect athletes from injuries that I've suffered myself, that kept me from going on to playing the professional leagues, to give them hope that if they did get a seriously bad injury, that there is hope that they can come back even better than before, um, and to get it out there, to pretty much every therapist out there, to help their patients. And the end goal for me, and I know I said this, is to retire my parents. Hopefully I can one day sell this company to a bigger company who has more networking, more power to kind of just distribute everything out faster, get it to more people faster than I can. And then I can just retire my parents, and have them enjoy the rest of their lives that they have left, and come up with a new product. And the next device we got coming is a secret, but you guys will soon know.
Yeah, I think it's exciting. I know you've had more ideas that you've shared. I won't share your secrets, but that you shared around what you thought of with Achilles. And so I'm privileged to have met you and be with you today. Someday we're gonna look up and be like, yeah, I know that I met the guy who started the product,
Absolutely.
changing
Yes.
rehab. So Trey, hope to see you soon. Maybe I think I may see you in Vegas at TOBI. So it'd be exciting if to see you there, and anyone can catch up with you there and learn more about your device and try it out in person. Because, I remember the one thing I'll leave everyone with is that I think it was Dr. Rowan Paul and I both met you, and we appreciated after just one session the stability that we felt on one leg versus the other when we did a comparison. I remember we were talking about that, like the neuromuscular activation and the coordination and proprioception just felt so much more solid on one leg than the other. And I think that's a huge component to this device supporting that as well. So we might see, the impact of this in other conditions that you're not even focused on, right? There's a lot of neuromuscular conditions, stroke rehab and thing like that, where there can be a lot of impact. So keep at it, brother. Keep at it. All right.
Thank you so much for
okay. No problem. So great. We'll keep in touch, and thanks everyone for kind of checking out Trey and Achilles.